Hey everybody, and welcome to my second of two videos about the Minolta Maxxum SP as I mess around with my lighting to try to get the LCD screen out of the glare. That's better. So here we have the Minolta SP very oddball camera. I'm going to show you in this video how to use it. First thing we're going to do is mount and unmount a lens. So to do that, simply push the lens release button here and turn the lens counterclockwise. And it's just going to come right off, unmounting the lens. To mount it, find the red dot on the lens and the red dot on the camera's body. Line them up, turn it clockwise. It'll confirm the autofocus and you're set. Let's mount it. Next thing we're going to do is load some film. To load the film, all you have to do is open the back of the camera. What you have to do is take off the eyepiece cover and then open up the back of the camera. What a terrible design that the eyepiece cover has to come off to load the film. At any rate, so you load the film by rotating it into the camera this way. Pull out a leader, and you want your leader to end where that orange dot is. Now we're going to close the film back. And the camera just does a dance. No, it advanced the film and then it did an autofocus confirmation. Now you can see here on the camera's LCD screen that it is got film in it and it's on frame 1. We take a picture, it's frame 2, and it will just tell you what frame you're on. This camera is only for DX coded film. The camera can read DX codes from ISOs 25 to 5000. If your film does not have a DX code on it, this camera will not be able to use it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the batteries. The camera's battery door is here on the bottom under the grip, and all you have to do to get to the battery is open up the door and slide out the battery. It takes a 2CR5 battery. And to load it, you just drop it in and close the door, and your battery is loaded just like that. Next thing we're going to do is switch modes and use the different mode functions. You can see, you just saw that, might have just seen the battery button pop up when I turned it on. On the LCD, that tells you how much battery life is remaining in your battery. So this camera has 4 modes. P for program, manual, aperture priority, and shutter priority. So to change modes, you hit the mode button here, and then use the top toggle switch to go to aperture priority, manual, and shutter priority. Now, to get back to program, all you have to do is push this button. Anytime you push this button, it's going to take you back to program mode. Even if all you want to do is switch to another mode, you've got to push the button, go back to program, and then reselect the mode. Program mode works by communicating with the lens. The lens has a chip in it that tells the camera what kind of lens it is. It says it's a Minolta Maxxum 35 to 70. Great, camera knows what's on it now. So using the lens type, the camera then takes a meter reading and then determines what shutter speed and aperture to use. It takes all the control out of the user's hands. Aperture priority mode allows you to control the aperture from the side toggle switch right here. And what you do is you toggle the switch up and down to select the aperture that you want to use, and then the camera will select the shutter speed. So up on the toggle switch makes the numbers go up. Makes the numbers go down, making the opening larger, and down makes the numbers go up, making the opening smaller. I would have done this the opposite way if it were my choice, but it wasn't. So push the mode button to go to the next one, but we have to go back to program, aperture priority, full manual. Full manual allows you to control the shutter speed and the aperture. aperture is controlled the same way with the side toggle switch, and the shutter speed is controlled with the top toggle switch, left and right. This allows you to select the shutter speed and aperture you would like, so you can have the most creative control over your images. Going back to full or program mode, we'll go to shutter priority this time, if my finger doesn't stutter on the button. Shutter priority allows you to control the shutter speed, and then the camera determines the aperture that is best based on the shutter speed. So we'll go to the fastest shutter speed, and you can see that 4, that's the aperture, is blinking. That means that that's the widest that this lens can get, but it's not enough light for the setting. So we'll have to scroll down here, and now at 1/30th of a second it can use f4.5, and that 1/30th of a second is the fastest it's going to be able to take a picture at. And then it's going to tell you what the aperture is. Now here we are. There's too much light for the lens's smallest aperture. There we go. So those are the 4 shooting modes. Program, which you get to just by pushing the mode button. It'll automatically take you back to program. Aperture priority, full manual, and shutter priority. To use the self-timer, when you push the self-timer button, it will pop up there letting you know that your next picture is going to have a self-timer countdown, and it will flash, and there's a little red light on the front here that you can't see, but it's blinking to let you know that the self-timer is counting down. And there it goes. And the self-timer automatically turns off, so the next picture is not a self-timer picture. So here we are looking through the camera's viewfinder. You can see that little rectangle is the AF area, and that circle, I believe, is the spot metering area. Now if we go over here to the right, I'll have to press the shutter button, and you can see that green dot. That tells me that the subject is in focus. There we go. So now I'm going to show you that little yellow triangle tells me that the image is going to be underexposed. If I push the spot button, there is the spot metering indicator letting me know that I am in spot metering mode. At least I think that's how that works right now. And that's it. Other than that, the viewfinder is pretty much wide open, but it is really, really tiny. So this camera has autofocus and manual focus modes. To switch between the two, all you need to do is push this button here down. When it clicks, you're now into manual focus mode, and that allows you to select your focus deliberately. To go back to autofocus mode, you just have to hit the mode button and reset to program, and it will also reset to autofocus mode. So let's take everything we've just learned and put it together into how to take a picture with this camera. Okay? So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look through the viewfinder to line up the image. Let's say that this is the image that we're going to take a picture of. In program mode, all we have to do is autofocus, and the camera will simply select the best setting to use. In aperture priority, we would use the underexposure indicator to select a different aperture. In aperture priority, we would select whatever aperture we want to use, and then the camera would select the best shutter speed, 1/30th of a second in this case, and take the picture. In shutter priority mode, all we have to do is select the shutter speed, and then the camera is going to select the best aperture. And then in full manual, we select both the shutter speed and aperture. Now once we have either selected our shutter speed and aperture, one of the other, or just set it to program mode to take the picture, Then we compose the image. So we look through the viewfinder, figure out what we want our photo to look like, focus, and take the picture, or manually focus if your autofocus is not picking up on the right thing. So there it is. It's pretty simple to take a picture with this camera. Now let's go through the whole roll of film and see what happens at the end, whether or not this automatically rewinds the film, or if we have to hit that tiny little rewind button on the bottom. And it automatically rewinds. Now the zero and the flashing is letting you know that it's time to take the film out of the camera's back. You do by just popping it open and pulling out the cassette. We can either now put another cassette in or not and simply turn it off. And you'll notice when the film cassette was in it, the LCD screen stayed on. So in order to completely turn off this camera, you've got to take the film out and put it to lock. If you're partway through a roll of film, you can't take the film out without rewinding it. And if you rewind it on this, it rewinds it the entire way. So basically, once you load the film in this, you're committed to using the entire roll. If you finish the day halfway through the roll, you've got to take the battery out to keep the LCD screen from draining the battery. And that is it. That is the Minolta SPXI, how to use it. If you have any questions about this camera or other things, photography in general, please leave those in the comments section below. I'm generally pretty good about responding. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that by hitting the subscribe button, and then you'll find out when I have more photography and camera related videos that I release. If you have suggestions for other videos, please leave those in the comments section. And if I have the equipment and technical know-how, I am more than happy to film those. If this video was helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know I'm on the right track and that I'm producing content which is useful to you. And one last thing, thank you guys for watching and take great photos.